general intro for Spotify or whatever we end up using. Okay, so Laura Lynn.
Yep, Laura Lynn.
Does homeopathic tinctures,
Remedies.
remedies. Okay.
Remedies. Homeopathic remedies. Homeopathic remedies. I have a homeopathic certificate where I have received training. And I also make lotions and tinctures. I have been studying natural health alternative therapies, because we can't call them medicines. They're therapies or remedies. Some for 30 years. Wow, 30 years.
Long time.
Wow.
Established.
Wow.
She's established.
I've been studying that for 30 years. Wow. Remember when you were 12?
No.
And
I can't remember yesterday.
I remember coming home from the hospital the second time. I don't remember the first time, but I remember the second time. I was a month old. That's an autistic thing, I suppose. But I remember coming home. I was laying I'm guessing I was laying in my mother's lap. All I remember is I could see out the window of the vehicle we were in. It was snowing. And there was snow on the ground, and I was looking at a hill where there was trees. And I heard my sister, at the time I didn't know it was my sister, but I heard somebody say, "Is she staying this time?" And the person that was holding me said, "Yes, she is sleeping. Now sit down," she said. So, and then that's all I remember. That was my first memory.
And
Later on, my mother filled in the gaps because I asked her about that memory when I was an adult. And she says, "There's no possible way you could remember that. That was when you came home from the hospital the second time. We were on an apartment," because I asked her, I says, "How come we were taking the wrong way home?" Because that wasn't the way that we would take to get to the residence that we lived at when I remember living there. And she says, "That was because you were a month old, and we were going to the apartment on St. Joseph Street in Adrian."
is St. Joseph Street still there, and is the apartment still there?
I don't know. I think St. Joseph Street is still there.
Well, you live so close to where you were raised. Do you go back to look at the places you lived at? Growing up.
My mother still lives in the house that I remember as a child. I don't remember the other home.
Okay.
I don't remember the apartment.
So you didn't move around a lot or anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
We moved from St. Joseph Street in the apartment when I was 2 years old to the home in Manitou Beach.
And that's where she lives now?
Yep, she still lives in on the same ground. She doesn't live in the same house because they never took care of the house. So it started to fall in, and they ended up getting a modular put on the ground, and they moved into the modular and let the basement type house fall in. And then the insurance company drove by to see what they were insuring, and they sent them a letter that said if they didn't knock that old abandoned building in the rest of the way and get it covered up and filled in with dirt, the insurance company was going to drop them from coverage.
Because it's a safety hazard?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's when they finally did something to the house. But the whole time growing up, my parents always said, because it was a basement style house that had a flat roof on it. It was a basement, unfinished. That nobody ever put a house on top of the basement. They just put a flat roof on. The whole time growing up, every year, my parents said, we're going to get a house next year. We're going to get a house next year. We're going to get a house next year. We're going to... So I learned real quick that that wasn't really going to happen, and I stopped believing them.
Right.
But I also raised chickens. I have Buff Orpingtons, and I raised those. I have...
Pigeons and rabbits.
Pigeons.
What kind of pigeon?
Roller pigeons.
I had a couple of... So cute. They're so cute. Now they were the ones that roll in the air, right?
Yep.
Okay.
They do somersaults in the air. They're fancy acrobatic flyers in the air.
Do they have a specific breed name?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. And my rabbits I raise are New Zealand Reds.
Are them meat chickens?
Yes. Yep.
Are they as big as the white ones? I can't remember the name of the white ones. Remember the huge white meat chickens? No. Rabbits. Don't they have huge white meat rabbits? Maybe I'm misremembering. Dum-dum.
Yes, probably the Californians.
That's it. Yep.
They also have New Zealand Whites, and those are very large.
Maybe that's what.
Maybe. But my rabbits range from, but the average is 11 pounds. So that's a good sized rabbit. Bigger than a house cat.
Yeah. And they don't have big bones, so you're not getting a lot of bone in there.
Right.
Which is good.
That is good.
Do you process your rabbits?
No.
So how do you make money off of them? Or do you?
I haven't been able to.
So you don't sell them? Or do you try and sell them, but you just haven't been able to sell them?
Well, I rub my rabbits together and they don't make more rabbits.
Oh, so are they sterile or they're just not interested in?
They rub together like rabbits do when they are having their
Dating ritual?
Yeah. And I bought them from auction. So they're somebody's cast-offs.
Yeah.
And they probably ended up at auction because they wouldn't reproduce.
Yeah.
So they're my pet rabbits. I initially bought them because they have the full pedigree and all of that. And I had figured I was going to raise rabbits and eat some of them and sell some of them as meat rabbits and sell some of them for 4-H kids, sell them to 4-H kids, but they never reproduced. So they're basically just, they're in their retirement home, they're going to live out their days. And
Are they old? So they're old now?
No, they're 3 or 4 years old.
Oh, how long do they usually live?
10 to 12.
Okay. I had rabbits growing up, but I never kept a track of how old they were. We got them as adults anyway, so we wouldn't know how old they were. And Laura Lynn does photography.
I do. I have my degree in photography from the New York Institute of Photography. I got that way back in the early 2000s. So
she was an adult by then.
I was an adult. Some days I don't think I'm an adult still, but don't tell anybody. So yeah, I do that. I also have a degree in journalism. I do like to write. That's one thing I like to do. I also like to read. I have 3 cats.
How many chickens?
I have 9 chickens.
Now, do they go broody?
I have a one broody hen right now. Yep. So I have 8 hens and 1 rooster.
Now, okay, so do you let them go, like, do you let them have their eggs or put eggs under them when they go broody? Or do you try to prevent them from going broody?
What I do is, if I'm sure one of my hens is going to be broody and stay broody, because sometimes they'll decide they want to be broody for a day or two,
Yeah.
and they get tired of it. They're like, yeah, I'm done. That was great.
That's not for me.
Yeah, but I'm just over it. So as long as they're actually really going to be broody, I will set some eggs in the incubator and I will put ceramic eggs under the chicken, because the other chickens will get in the nest with a broody hen and lay more eggs in there.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
And if there's 2 chickens in the nest, they can end up breaking the eggs and they'll eat them. And that's one of the ways you can get egg eaters. I don't want to start that. I'm not interested. I don't want to do that. So I'll put eggs in the incubator and I'll hatch out some chickens. But I learned chickens can count. Did you know that?
I have never had a chicken notice if any chickens have gotten.
Well, here's why I think chickens can count. I've put 4 eggs underneath a hen before, and I have incubated 8 eggs. And I'll have 6 or 7 of those eggs hatch out, and I'll put all of those chickens underneath my hen. She will take 4 of them, and she will let the other ones die.
Are you sure maybe she's just not overly stressed and just like...
I've tried it again the next year when she's gone broody, and I put a dozen ceramic eggs under her. I've given her 8 chickens, and she keeps them all. And I've also done it the other way. Again, just to make sure. I think chickens can count.
That's Laura Lynn's opinion. I disagree. But
Now, some chickens don't care. I've had silkies that I've put 6 eggs under them, and I've put a dozen chickens underneath of them, and they're just happy as can be to have all of those little babies, and they'll just take care of them all. But I've noticed that my Buff Orpingtons, they're a little funny in the head.
I'm sorry, what was the last part?
They're a little funny in the head. They got their own ideas, and they can be quite stubborn at times.
Like humans.
Like humans,
Like
yep.
me, yeah. I'm stubborn.
Yep, they can have their own ideas about things. They're not like the silkies where you can put 4 eggs under them and then put a dozen babies.
See, I would want... Now, do you... So I take it you keep all your chicks? When they hatch out, you keep them all?
No, I always put extra in the incubator, and the extra chicks I sell at auction.
Okay.
Because I don't want to run the incubator that's not full.
Yeah. Now, incubators, for people who do not incubate, they run a lot of energy. You will notice in your electric bill.
Yep. So I only want to run a full incubator. So I will run a full incubator, and I will put however many chicks underneath my hen that I have put eggs under. Which usually isn't a lot because I don't want a giant flock. 12 or less is great for me. Because I don't need a whole bunch of eggs. I eat 4 eggs a day, scrambled in the morning for breakfast. I I do some baking. I'll make egg salad sandwiches. I'll make potato salad. I'll do things like that. Maybe once in a while I'll make a fried egg sandwich. But I learned a long time ago that I had all these, I think it was 15 hens. So I was getting a dozen and a half of eggs a day. And people were telling me, oh, I'll buy your eggs from you. I'll buy your eggs from you. I'm like, okay, fine. So I was trying to sell them. I couldn't chase people down and make them take free eggs. These people weren't wanting to buy them. Found out later.
They talk a good game, though.
Yeah, they did.
Oh.
So now I'm only interested in keeping a small flock of hens so that I can have my own supply of eggs. I'm not interested in any extras.
What do you do when they get old, your chickens? Do you process them? Do you take them to auction? What do you do? And they quit laying.
When they quit laying, I just let them live out their days. A chicken doesn't eat that much food. So I just go ahead and keep them. I let them eat. And they pass away. So since I have my ages of my hens staggered, I'll have 2 or 3 this year. I'll get 2 or 3 new ones next year. So I don't have a lot of them. So they end up, a couple of them pass away here, a couple of them pass away there, a couple of them pass away here, and I always end up having between 8 to 12 chickens.
Gotcha. Yep. Have you ever had a major loss where like something took out almost all your chickens or all your chickens?
Yes. One time when I lived in Osseo, I lived with a person, and this person, we had to go do something. I don't remember what it was. We were going to be back after dark. I says, I don't want to go with you because we're going to be back after dark and I have to shut up the chickens. And the person said, it's just one night. Nothing's going to happen to them in one night. Nothing's going to find them in one night. So lo and behold, we got back at 10:30, 11 after dark, and I went in to turn the light on in the chicken coop, and all of my chickens were basically turned inside out. A raccoon had got in there. Raccoons will kill your chickens, open them up, basically turn them inside out, and they will kill them all in one time.
I had that one time happen to me. Raccoon went into the shed and had a bunch of broodies. He killed almost all of them and their chicks.
Yep. They will just wipe out your whole entire herd.
And clearly it's not for food.
No, not for food. They don't eat a bit of it. They might.
And I mean, even if they did, they get full after one chicken.
Mm-hmm.
So killing like 10 of them, it's like, by that time, you're just killing just to kill anyways, Yeah.
Yep. So that was the major loss. So that was not fun.
Was there a bickering over that?
No. I had him. He went down to the coop with me because we had gotten home, and I said, why don't you just come shut up the chickens with me? And he seen they were...
Oh, so you had already seen it?
No.
Oh.
No. We got home. It was after dark. I said, come down to the coop with me. It was after dark, and he goes, why, are you afraid of the dark? And I said, yes, I am. Come with me. I mean, he was just being a jerk, so I was being a jerk back. I said, yes, I am. Come with me. And so we went down there. I turned the light on, and we seen the mess. He went over to the door, to the trap door to shut the door. And I picked up one of my chickens and I showed it to him. I held it up to him and I said, "A lot of good that's going to do now, you think?"
Were they all dead?
Everyone.
So how soon after that did you get new chickens?
I went and got new chickens the following week at auction.
Okay. Did he have a problem with you getting new chickens?
I didn't care if he had a problem with me getting new chickens
Gotcha.
because I had a problem with him.
Yeah.
Because I said I didn't want to go. I didn't need to go. There was no reason for me to go. And he didn't tell me in the morning before I let the chickens out.
That he was going and
That he was-
want you to go.
yeah.
He'd want you to go with him, right?
Oh, he demanded it.
Because it's such a habit, sometimes I just go out there and I let him out and I was like, oh crap, we're supposed to go.
Yep.
So then I'm trying to find, I'm looking out the window, it's like, because every once in a while we'll go in the coop during the day to do, I don't know,
Chicken stuff.
chickens, yeah. And so I'll like be looking out the window, I'll be like, are they in there? And like if I see them, I'll just go running out there and shut them. Because like you don't want them to, I mean, I never leave it open. And usually, there's been times where I've occasionally left it open accidentally, forgot to shut them up.
Right.
But it's rare. And I lucked out. Then nothing walked by and saw the door open and went in there. But like, you don't know. It could just be that one time they just, raccoons or possums or whatever looking in there. Like, oh, it's open. Let me go in there and investigate.
Yeah.
And then, it's unlikely, but it might happen. And,
It
and
just
you're
takes
proof,
once.
And you're proof that it does.
Just takes once.
Mm-hmm.
Just takes once.
Yeah.
Okay.
So question. The question for the podcast. The introduction.
I don't know.
Do you like this podcast? That's our question. Do you like this podcast?
How about what subjects would you be interested in hearing us
yeah.
talk about?
Yes.
Because basically, are we middle-aged?
I think we're past middle age. I consider middle age 35, but I think people consider it older. People would consider like 50 middle age. I'm like, what? You're half dead by then.
I think we're middle-aged.
I think we're past middle age.
I'm still surprised that we're middle-aged. I don't feel middle-aged. Most of the time I forget that I'm this old. Most of the time I still feel like I'm 23 or 25.
I feel my age. When I'm trying to exercise, I cannot do what I did pre-menopause. I'm perimenopause. So I can't hold the weights as long as I used to. My muscles have decreased. I was getting big muscles. That decreased. Out of breath. Getting up and down. I do old people exercises. And,
Do you do chair yoga?
No.
Okay. So you're not doing old people exercises.
I'm doing exercises geared towards issues old people deal with.
Okay, so are you trying to prevent?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Preventative. Now we do use but the goal isn't to get your six packs. The goal isn't to get big arm muscles, even though that's what I want. The goal of this exercise is to live independently and as healthy as long as possible, living a healthy, active life for as long as possible, putting off any, getting up and down. She intentionally does exercise where okay, we're going to do floor exercise now. Okay, get back up. Okay, now we're going to do floor, something on the floor. And just do one specifically, getting up and down, balance is another. Fast twitch muscles. You lose fast twitch, but that's part of being able to stay upright. and catch yourself from falling. You need that fast twitch. So that, and you don't find that in young people exercises.
Okay.
You definitely don't do the getting up and down. Young people don't even think about that stuff. And there's also functional moves and range of motion that are not in young people exercises. You know, they're all building bone, getting muscles, looking good. Whereas when you got geared towards old people, you're like staying upright, you know, being able to get off the floor, you know, from if you fall, or being able to get up from the couch, being able to get up from the commode, you know, being able to lift your groceries. And there's also memory, coordination. You lose that, so that's part of the exercise program too.
Okay.
So it's geared to help old people, prevent them from getting old soon. So, but I can tell the difference.
That's good.
Well, I can tell the difference pre-menopause or post, you know, now I'm perimenopause.
Okay.
Because I can see that I just can't endure. Like, I can't do the cardio anymore. Because I'm like, you
Like
know?
you're having an asthma attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, like I said, I can't hold the weight. Like, if I can't, like I used to be able to hold 1 pound weights the whole exercises every single time. Now, can't.
Oh, wow.
Can't even hold 1 pound weights while I'm doing the exercises for the whole.
Okay.
You know, so it's anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, depending on which exercise. I can't do it.
Oh,
But they're
wow.
not asking you to do it. It's
Okay.
just something extra that I was doing. Because I could do it. Because I was trying to look muscular, build them muscles up. Now I can't. I can't lift as much as I used to lift.
It's just still amazing to me. When we were 20,
So I feel...
when we were 20, we never... I always looked at my grandma and I'm just like, golly, she's just like, wow.
See, my grandma was very active. I looked at my grandfather and I'm like... Well, for both of them, she was the active one.
Okay.
That's what I should say. But I looked at my grandfather and I'm like, kill me if that's me. Unalive me if I become that. Because all he did was sit and watch TV. That's all he did.
Oh, that's not good.
I'm like, that. There's no reason to live if that's what you're doing.
My grandma watched a lot of TV. She had arthritis. So she said she was always in pain. She said everything hurt. So she didn't want to move because if she moved, it hurt.
Yeah. That wasn't my grandpa. My grandpa was just lazy.
Oh.
But yeah, arthritis is something I hope I don't get. Because I hear that. I hear it's an immune disease. Is that correct?
They treat it with immune suppressors because my grandma, they had my grandma on immune suppressors and they helped her. But she hated them because she said that every virus that she gets exposed to, she gets it, but she gets it like 5 times worse than whoever gave it to her. So she, whenever...
Was it the medicine that was doing that?
Mm-hmm. Whenever the immune suppressors, she blamed it on the immune suppressors. But it helped her arthritis not hurt so bad. But
So there was a trade-off, and you had to wonder which is better.
So during cold and flu season, she just shut herself in the house.
I could understand that.
But of course, my grandfather went out to the grocery store and stuff like that, and of course the bagger who would sneeze and wipe their nose and wipe it on, the bag, and she would put the groceries away, so she still gets sick all the time.
Right.
So that sucked.
Are we done? 29?
Yep, we are done, and then the next one we will talk about Julie.
Because I don't talk enough. Bye.